Alright, guys, how are you? I'm pretty sure that you guys are okay. Hopefully, you are. But the point of this particular video is that I'm actually producing this because I figured that it's best for you guys to get to know me a little bit, a little one on one. So, what am I all about, and why do I believe in the things I do? So, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. This will be in form of a testimonial. So, in other words, based off of my personal experience with Satan, this is how I gather all my information. And if you guys wondered what motivates me, well, this is what the testimonial is all about, right? So, of course, if you want to go back to the beginning, I would have to say around 6. I've always been very spiritually open, and I mean very spiritually open. It's just that when one were to think about spirituality, especially in a Christian-based country, we fall back on what we know about the Bible and God. But way before I even had a religion, I remember living with my brother and sisters, with my mom when she was alive. And what ended up happening was that I had my first encounter with, I won't say Satan because that particular being didn't call itself Satan, nor did it reveal itself. And I always personally felt it to be of a demonic source. So what ended up happening was that in my bunk bed, I was sleeping on the bottom bed while my younger brother was asleep on the top. And the bed itself lifted up a pretty couple of feet up in the air and it started to rattle. And then it just dropped. Within that instance, me and my younger brother laughed and we giggled. We thought it was fun. But here's the kicker. I ended up saying to my younger brother, "Did you do that?" And mind you, we're both 6. So he's like, "No." Then he repeated the question to me, and I'm like, "Well, no." But then, as we're just like giggling and laughing, I actually told whatever it was to do it again, and it did exactly so. Then it dropped again, and we both chuckled and laughed. Surprisingly, after that experience, neither my brother and myself, we never actually brought that experience to my mom, but it was something that always stood with me even now. I still currently believe it, and I find it to be one of the most inspirational stories that I have ever encountered in my life. Whereas when I go a little further from that experience, I have to tell you, my chakras had to been open, especially my crown chakra. I mean, could have seen anything. Thankfully, nothing horrifying, but I could have experienced a lot of horrifying things, but it didn't. It didn't turn out to be so. But I've always had this knack for the dark side. That's just for those who are listening to me. Just understand, this is who I am. It's coming from my heart. I've always had a knack, for the things that I talk about and what I'm doing now. So what ended up happening was that strangely, my mom found, the light, so to speak, and she ended up taking us to some, church. My mother tried to teach myself and my siblings the Jehovah's Witness, and that's an offshoot of Christianity, but when I was much younger, it was still seen as a cult. I think today it's more of a mainstream religion now. They've grown in numbers. But that was an interesting story because even at that particular time when I rejoined my mom because she sent me off to adoption, I ended up coming back to her, going to this particular church that you know these witnesses were together. It's called a Kingdom Hall, and this is gonna sound so cliche, but it's the truth. It's my personal belief system. So I just have to tell it as is, right? So I had mind you, I'm like 6 or 7 at this time. So I had this lucid dream about a black sheep, which is me, and nothing but white sheeps, you know, at a distance. So perhaps it meant solitude or I didn't belong. But at that time, I didn't really care because I reunited with my mom. And I thought it was interesting that this particular religion was fulfilling my spiritual needs and my desires. And I just saw it as, something that I just, put underneath the carpet. But a little further down the road, as things start to escalate, um, this astral parasite, or at least how I perceive this Yahweh figure, and others see them as their God, and everyone has the right to their own opinion. And now that you think it's sad that I believe it to be so, it's really up to you. But again, it's my story, it's my testimonial. So at that particular time, he tried to help me. This is when I'm getting a little bit more older. I would have to say I maybe 19, 20 at this time, and as spiritual as I am right now, is how I always have been. Even when I was 20, that's like more than 10 years ago. I was 20 years of age, and I ended up becoming, believe it or not, at a very young age, very high rank in that particular religion. In order for you to understand the ranking system there, I was equivalent to an underpriest, someone that would help assist the priest in their priestly duties. So I've done that, but though very young. And it's been every now and then at that particular time that this Yahweh, this astral parasite, was giving me a lot more lucid dreams and a lot more thoughts about how he saw me. It was obviously predestination, but we get to that a little later. One of the priests at that particular time just randomly told me, Satan is going to give you no matter what you ask for if you leave, and you will have your own empire. Remember I said from the outset, friends, that all my chakras were just open. It was just open, just fucking open. I took what he said, but it resonated on me, or it resonated to me on a very, very personal level. It was as if I lived those words already, or I was about to. And I didn't understand. I tried to shut away that way of thinking. And as you notice in my testimonial at this time, I've been doing a lot of that. Out of respect, because at that time I didn't know what I know now, obviously, because I was in my 20s. And this intuition, this predictions of the future, it's definitely discouraged, especially in a place like that, because it's obviously frowned upon, due to the Old Testament, fortune telling, demonic, and things of that nature, yada yada yada. So I'm wrong by default if I were to even bring it out, and I knew that, so I had to hide that, because self-preservation is what I was looking for at that time. Because if I can't explain it, then how could someone else explain it if they're obviously expressing their bias? And the God of the Bible tends to express their bias, and that's what the witnesses at that time express. If you do something different, then you're obviously going to be ostracized or excommunicated. But I try to keep that to myself. And mind you, though I had a very strong interest in the occult, and I mean very strong. I mean, you name it, to Spawn comics, to the movies, to the music. You remember, like, way back then, if you're in your early 30s like myself, you have like Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, and those are the guys I love their CDs. You know what I mean? It was just so fucking amazing, and I mean amazing to a point where people looked at that and they looked down upon it, but I just loved it, and I loved my Spawn comics. So I used to just draw them, and I'm like, this is so amazing. I just had to be that little rebel, that little devil in the back. That's like, you hear them talking on the platform, and Jesus says he loves everyone, and I'm just countering them in my mind, like, if the Bible is as true as it says it is, then how come it's not accurate? It's accurate because you're telling me it is, but there's no evidence for it. And mind you, that's me being very high ranking in that religion. So you could only imagine where this is going through, or what I'm going through at that moment, excuse me, and where I'm leading, especially with the stuff I'm interested in. So I end up, sooner than later, going to some sort of seminar. And the seminar in this religion, it teaches people that are equivalent to under priests that assist the priest a lot more better. So I was anointed by there's Yahweh's spirit, stuff like that. So I was qualified to do all these important things. So in other words, my spirituality as it is at that time is the same as it is now. It's very parallel to it because I'm just not that type to basically be one of those fringe individuals. Meaning, what I'm trying to say is like those individuals are just sit at that particular church for that one Sunday and then they return like 4 years later, or like every other Sunday and then never show up and then come back again. That's not me. I'm always gun ho, especially when it comes to spirituality. You probably see it in my other videos. I'm like, if it's something about the supernatural, I want to know about it. If it's about your guardian angel, your guardian daemon, your spirit guide, let me know. I want to know about it. Do you have a camera like myself that likes to go to cemeteries and these haunted places, things like that? It's just it's my calling. I find that to be more of my religion than my past because it's just so amazing. That's why I love what I do on YouTube. It's not for the money, it's not for the fame, it's not about image. I love what I do, and Satan knows it, you know. But I know I'm kind of going off track, but at that particular time, I ended up um, slowly, seeing things within the Bible. And that's, again, having my chakras wide open, not knowing how to close them, how to correct it, how to align them correctly. None of that. I was just, you're not even allowed to do that because that's just how these major religions see the occult or anything that is called alternate spirituality. You're just wrong. I could only imagine if I just whipped out some tarot cards, they would just been baffled about the matter, and that would have been like just completely wrong on my part. It just scared them. But I ended up not staying very long because how I perceived the scriptures and how my chakras were to vibrate so immense, and it would have just resonated as if I was living in those scriptures, like words like traitor and coward. And mind you, as a tidbit, that's what Pachdan Boged means, traitor and coward. It always stuck to me because as I explained that, it kind of reminds me how if you look at most of the Goetia, a lot of their names are quite debased. So in other words, whatever the names were, they've been given a particular name where they're like, let's say for example, Satan, or Satan means adversary or the enemy, stuff like that, or deceiver, slanderer. And when I think about that, I definitely took on that name presently, traitor and coward. It's a debased name of me falling from grace. It's catchy to me, and it's something that really is what I promote into the astral, into what I do, and people that get to know the magic that I do, they know me as Pashjan Bogad. So that's where I got it from. One from the Book of Revelation. I think both were from the Book of Revelation. I don't know where, but it definitely resonated with me at that time. Then sooner than later, I just ended up getting more irritated with this astral parasite, this Yahweh figure, because I remember when I had these thoughts of leaving. Remember, please, friends, remember this. I tried to stay. Before I left, you have to at least understand that it took time for me to officially leave. It goes for anyone. If you leave a marriage knowing that your husband's trying to beat you, your child is not stopping in their crime, it's only eventually that you have to put an end to these things, and you have to accept the sad truth. You have to accept it. And I kid you not, I remember those days, man. I had those keys to that Kingdom Hall, and I would open up that Kingdom Hall when there's no one there. I would be on bloodied knees, friends. Bloodied knees, tearing, crying. When you're like, oh my God, and you're just crying, dog face crying. You just look ugly, a hot mess. I'm crying, and this is each and every day. And I'm doing that because being indoctrinated, what I'm thinking of, what I'm doing is wrong. It's like I was trying to, again, try to suppress it. Talk about skeletons in your closet. It's I was trying throughout my whole entire time in the left hand path. I mean, excuse me, in the right hand path. You know, I tried whatever I could to do what I can to stay, but it just didn't work. It just didn't end up working out. Eventually, you know, I tried even changing to a different kingdom hall or church, so that I could basically develop, because I said no, these thoughts must be my own, and perhaps it's this particular church, but if I go to a different area, a different church, I won't have these problems. Friends, let me tell you, I don't know. They say that it's you, the person, that is the problem, and it's not the particular church. But I kid you not. Notice what I'm trying to say. I'm not making it up. I am not lying. Listen, okay? This is the truth. TRUTH. The truth, alright? I mean it. I go to my other church, right? This new church, and I was developing. They knew at that time the other church taking away my priestly duties. So I was just, new there. And to back up a little bit, the reason why they have taken away my priestly duties is because they felt I didn't qualify anymore, due to the fact that there was a debacle between me and the priests that were there. And I just simply I accepted it, but I'm gonna live my life the way it did, the way it was at that time. I wasn't angry, I wasn't upset, I didn't even care. As long as I could actually reconnect with this God or whatever, I thought it was at that time, I did what I could. I would, same thing, constantly study, try to work myself from down below up. Man, I kid you not, what ended up happening is that the priest, right, the priest, air quotes, were to come to my particular church, and in the most smug way, okay, in the most smug way, when I was attending one of their meetings or sermons, whatever you want to call it, he would whisper, and the newfound church, the elders that presided there, whisper in their ears in a most childish manner, looking at me as he's whispering in their ears, most likely about myself, because you're looking at me as you do it, and you made it seem as if you're talking about me. And no matter what I did, it was like it wasn't enough. And I just kept on trying and trying all this. It was like, how could you fight against something that is predestined? People say that the God of the Bible doesn't really teach in, what is it, predestination, but that's false. I don't have the Bible in front of me, and all I know is you have to do research, friends, as you're listening to this video, that there's many scriptures where this God, this Yahweh figure, he directly talks about how individuals are destined to do something. Even with the Esau and Jacob dream. Well, it's not really a dream, it was just what he prophesied. But these Christians will have mental gymnastics around it to make you feel and think that it is not predestination, where the Bible clearly says that is predestination, and how he felt, about, let's say, for example, Esau. Before he was even born, he said he hated him, and how he was predestined to fail. It doesn't precisely say predestination, but it gives off that flavor. But then there's other scriptures that plainly speaks about predestination. But then if you're one of those witnesses, they tend to play around with the wording of the Bible. So they would take out the word destined or predestination, and then replace it with another word that's closely related to it, but means something completely and utterly different. You just have to do your own research, and I'm not going to provide that within this particular video because it's just not in front of me. I just don't want to waste the time to do so because it's just one of those things where I'm over it. I'm not angry, and it's the past, you know. So I just ended up leaving at that time. I ended up leaving, and then I just, you know, I said whatever I had to say, and I left. But the day before, and I'm talking about the day before, friends, I remember being on this couch over here. I was laying down, and I was like where I'm at. Don't mind Baphomet's big head. Satan's big head. He's just being nosy, making sure everything is good, and that's good. Thank you, Baphomet. But I was over here, laying down, and I was thinking about, these exact words. If this religion doesn't have what is called truth, then what does? That same feeling that I always had throughout my childhood, even at that point, which was obviously my chakras, that intuition that I had, a thought entered my mind. And it simply said, you might as well try out the left-hand path. And it clearly said Satan in my mind. You know what? That very moment, I went to a satanic forum, a satanic website, and I learned as much as I could. And just like most people, I was shivering. I was looking at their testimonials, shivering. I looked at their meditations in order to develop, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I couldn't take it, as if it was the most natural thing, because like everyone else coming into the occult, especially a more darker path, is not easy to accept. And that's why I can relate to those who are probably listening to this testimonial. But what ended up happening is that I eventually got to it. I dedicated myself to Satan in 2015, and I've been with Satan for quite some time, and I completely enjoy what I do with Satan even today. I have my Baphomet statue, and I have a lot of stuff that I shared with you guys in my other video about my small altar, my tarot cards that I use, and things of that nature. And I don't regret it. I do not regret it. But what I will say in closing is that I thought it was very shameful that I had to be put through those things, but I don't regret it because those things had to happen in order for me to arrive to where I'm at. But it helped me to appreciate that, if you were meant to be born to be on a particular path, do it. If it's calling you and you want to do it, do it. I'm just that individual where I know there's no going back. I have everything within my house. It just seems as if like it's consecrated by Satan himself. It's like I just love what I do, and I just hope that as you get to know just a little bit about me through this testimonial, that's why I produce these videos, guys. It's like we are a family in a spiritual sense. We share each other's message as far as the occult. If it's not the left hand path, it could be just the occult as far as like new age, and that's also okay with me. You have to balance out that darkness. Either it be a little bit of the new age, like I love to draw, I love to look at my Japanese anime, I like to break away from all the darkness so that I could not go like to a point where I'm completely insane. Like I'm already weird and strange, be strange like me, but I'm already strange, and I'm already, there's no turning back. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But it's just one of those things that I have to tell you, friends, that I just hope that as you listen to this testimonial, just leave your testimonial in the comment. And I will tell you this, I will do a video just like this, and I will explain your testimonial, about a good 3 of them, and make sure that it's not something that is, it has to come from your heart, is what I'm trying to say, and something that is actually factual. I don't want to talk about the spaghetti monster or a sausage with a mustache, something silly. It's just really, how did you come to know from your particular path? I would prefer the darker path. But if not, then it could be just any other path. Just let me know. But again, what's preferred is the darker path. Now, with that said and done, please subscribe to my channel if you like, if I resonate with you, and press the like button. Thank you guys so much. I love you all dearly, and thank you for joining my channel. Thanks.